Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jaja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulonding. We are also producers of Jaja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gash, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gash Group also provides the best security company, Gash Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gash Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gash on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gash Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.gashglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tarots, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Sophie Milk ñu ngi fété juróom benn ati cafka bu dul dañ ñoo leen indil Jalika full cream milk powder neex saf sàpp te bari cafka pour di leen jërëjëfati si ni ngeen defee Sophie Milk seen favorite milk brand. Léegi mun ngeen a jëfandikoo empty Jalika milk sachets wala carton pour gagner ay xéewal yu riche. Pour gagner motorbike dajaleel fukk ak juróomi empty carton yi Jalika milk pour gagner yeneen xéewal yu mel ni PlayStation 4, TV, fridge freezer, gas cooker, bicycle wala mobile phone. dajaleel fukk ak juróomi empty Jalika milk sachets def leen si biir enveloppe binda si sa tur ak sa téléphone number. Mun ngeen ko yóbbu si bépp Jalika milk agent bu leen gën a jege. Pour xam bi si raful yi dem leen Jalika milk Facebook page. Jalika milk mooy meew bu ees bu leen so fi indel gën a neex saf sàpp te riche.
It's a warm reception to our studio here in Sarakunda. This is Star TV News with me, Memuna Fadera. In the headlines tonight, government withdraws charges against Operation 3 Years Jotna executives. GPU says more than 15 attacks launched against journalists in 4 years. Calls for friendlier media environment as world commemorates Press Freedom Day. General Lamin Bojang bounces back. GPA laments COVID-induced upward spiral in child abuse. On the international news, Chad AU still odds caution as military appoints opposition MPs. Brazilians are not showing up for their second COVID vaccination. Lebanon and Israel talks resumed over disputed maritime border. Well, those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. The Gambia government has dropped all charges against the executives of the proscribed Operation 3 Years Jotna Group. More in this report by Maria Madem.
The Attorney General and Minister of Justice has taken a decision to withdraw all charges against the embattled members of Operation 3 Years Jotna. This revelation was made this morning by the Gambia government spokesperson, Ibrahim G. Sankare. 7 members of Operation 3 Years Jotna were sometime last year dragged to the courts after taking to the streets to protest the current mandate of President Adama Barrow. In January 2020, thousands of Gambians went down the streets to agitate for the resignation of President Adama Barrow. The mass street protests were organized by the group Operation 3 Years Jotna, citing the 2016 coalition manifesto in which it was resolved that President Barrow should leave the stage after serving 3 years in office. There were destruction to properties during the ensuing mass protests and riots, and the group was subsequently proscribed by the Gambia government. The arrested executives of the banned movement were arraigned at the Kanifing Magistrates Court and their case subsequently transferred to the High Court in Banjul. However, in what could come as welcome news to many, Justice Minister Dauda Jallow has taken the decision to put a halt on the criminal proceedings against the executives of Operation 3 Years Jotna. The Attorney General and Justice Minister did not advance any reason for the decision, but he stated that this humanitarian gesture was taken in consultation with President Adama Barrow in the spirit of Ramadan. Justice Minister Dauda Jallow said the decision was predicated on promoting peace and reconciliation among all stakeholders in the political process few months to the December election. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.
The president of the Gambia Press Union has said that more than 15 incidents of physical assaults on journalists and media practitioners have happened in the country in less than 4 years. Sirif Bojang Jr. said the attacks were at times perpetrated by police or politicians, including supporters of the president Adama Barrow.
More than 15 incidents of physical assault on journalists and media professionals occurred, and all the attacks were perpetrated either by the police or politicians, including supporters of the president, of course. No serious investigation has been carried out. No one brought to book. The climate of impunity for crimes against journalists persists. Therefore, as the country goes into the first post-dictatorship presidential election in December, the safety of journalists and the issue of impunity remain a concern for the Gambia Press Union and for the media fraternity, hence the local theme, safety of journalists, imperative for credible elections. As part of efforts to tackle this unfortunate trend, the GPU has developed and submitted a position paper to the government through the Minister of Information. The union has made a case based on evidence and insights for the government to provide proactive and reactive mechanisms towards safeguarding the safety of journalists and combat impunity for crimes against journalists in line with the UNESCO Plan of Action. Also, the GPU is working with partners to roll out safety training programs for journalists and dialogues with politicians and security personnel.
Broadcaster Malik Jones has joined several media practitioners in the country to call on the government of the Gambia to speed up the passage and ratification of the Access to Information Bill. Mr. Jones, also a journalism lecturer and doyen of the Gambia media, was speaking to Star TV on the occasion of the World Press Freedom Day on Monday. Modu Elbaji with the details in this report.
Scores of Gambian journalists left the country during Jammeh's 22-year reign as a result of state-sponsored terror, intimidation, harassment and other forms of threats to personal safety and security. The birth of the Barrow administration has given the Gambian media a renewed hope for unfettered media freedom, and since 2016 there has been a mushrooming of media outlets in the country. However, the Gambian media is still grappling with media laws in need of repeal. What is the way forward in changing the media landscape, as this year's commemoration was themed Information as Public Good?
So I think the Access to Information Bill is very important, and I think the Minister of Information should do his utmost best to make sure that he lobbies members of the National Assembly to see to it that this bill becomes law. It's very, very important. It's one of the unfortunate issues that still hamper press freedom in the country.
Despite the shortfalls in the country's media expectations, such as the arrest and detention last year of Pamodu Bojang of Home Digital FM in Birkama and GBS Jalo of King FM, Jones acknowledged that some progress have been made by the borough administration.
And I think it has not been easy for the press in this country, but developments have taken place. From the Radio Gambia of 1960, today we have seen that the national broadcaster, which is GRTS, doesn't have that state monopoly anymore. I mean, it doesn't have that monopoly in the broadcast of news. Now there are many, many news media outlets that have come out. There are several community and privately owned radio stations, absolutely amounting to about 33 radio stations privately owned. There are 6 television stations, including this medium, Star TV. There are other TVs that have also come up. There are about 4 to 5 newspapers, not counting the online news outlets as well. I think it is a great achievement to this day that we have been able to see all of this come up. And once again, maybe I would also want to say that COVID-19 has also hampered the work of journalists, but then we will have to commend government for its grant of $15 million to news outlets to help them during the pandemic. That's only about 300,000 US.
He advised Gambian journalists to keep on honing their skills. Journalist Paul Stephen Prela believes there is a lot to do as a country to level the playing field.
As a country in Gambia, when it comes to freedom of speech and the independence of the journalists and how they operate regarding their work. So to me, I think, yeah, we can celebrate the day, but we still have a lot to do. I will urge all the partners to see how we can still help in the media to be independent and freely operate in their work and do whatever they want to do. But I will also urge the members of the media also to look into the information that they share with the public, because you have to verify the content before you disseminate it. You need to look at all those angles before you share that particular information. But if you look at today's theme of celebration, it's been centered on public good, meaning the information you're sharing with the public should be something that is good. So I think in a nutshell, it's just been simplified to tell us that whatever you're doing, you have to look at it properly, verify the good part of it before you just share whatever you feel like sharing without going through.
As today marks International Press Freedom Day, here at the Star TV building, we are celebrating our doyens, those who have been in the field for nearly decades or more. This here is the office of one of our senior producer, who is no other person than Omar Job. We will go in, talk to Omar Job, seek his opinion about the level of freedom in the country.
As today marks the 30th anniversary of Press Freedom Day since its inception, since it was declared like Press Freedom Day must be commemorated, because of it is a day that gives us the advantage to celebrate the effort of a journalist, to remember our fallen colleagues who died in the process of gathering information. So it's a day that's mainly for the press, and then each and every member as a press or as a media personnel will always be happy to grace this important occasion.
As media practitioners around the world commemorated Press Freedom Day, journalists in the Gambia were hopeful for the abrogation of obnoxious media laws and the birth of more media-friendly legislations. For Star TV, I am Modu Elbaji.
Former Gambian Army General Lamin Bojang has made a political comeback after falling out with his former party. Well, Dado Cham has more.
The former flag bearer of the Gambia Action Party, General Lamin Bojang, has bounced back from months of seeming political inertia. General Bojang broke ranks with the Gambia Action Party sometime last year after GAB said it had to let the former diplomat go to avoid a distraction to the party. The underthird Lamin Bojang has bounced back by forming the Alliance for National Reorientation and Development. The party was on Monday certified by the Independent Electoral Commission at the Election House in Kanifing following its last week registration by the election body. The IEC chairman, Aliu Momar Njai, admonished the newest party's leadership and followers to observe the IEC rules under any circumstance.
Please advise your members to abide by the conditions under which they are registered. Our doors are always open for anything you need from us. We do our utmost to make sure that what you need from us that is in line with the conditions and terms and of the registration body.
Mr. Njai also promised the party and the Gambian people a free and fair election come December. The IEC chairman Njai stated has a track record of organizing elections, which serve as signing examples for other national election commissions. He expressed IEC's resolve to provide every party the opportunity to be represented in the voter registration process.
I can promise you that the IEC will conduct free, fair, and transparent election. When I go out abroad, I always tell my contemporaries down there that they emulate the IEC system of elections. Because election starts with voting. And to vote, you must have a voter's card. And to fill the voter's card, you have to fulfill the terms and conditions. And we give the voter's card on the spot. And during the registration, we make sure that all parties and candidates have the right to send in agents to make sure that only Gambians who are qualified are registered.
After receiving IEC's stamp of approval, Lamin Bojang thanked the election body and gave an assurance of his party's commitment to observe the IEC rules.
Political party registered with the Independent Electoral Commission. We may even be referred as the toddler as far as the political life in this country is concerned. But I can assure you that Alliance for National Reorientation and Development, ANRD, is an ozone of knowledge. We can assure you that discipline is our watchword. Like alluded to by one of the commission members, our belief is that it is the human being that is going to vote, that is going to cast vote. But it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is going to select leaders.
Shortly after receiving IEC's seal of approval, General Bojang pointed out that there are lots of issues his party intends to confront, as he advised voters to be careful of how and for whom they vote. Meanwhile, the colors of Alliance for National Reorientation and Development are orange and green, and a bundle of rice as its symbol. Its motto is Justice, Freedom and Development. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Dado Chan.
The coordinator of the Child Protection Alliance has asserted that the COVID-19 outbreak in the Gambia has worsened abuse against children. Mr. Lamin Fati said the pandemic has caused a surge in incidents of child abuse, such as rape, and that the laws to safeguard children against all forms of abuse must be enforced. Maria Madam sat down with Mr. Fati and she prepared this report.
Since the outbreak of the coronavirus in March last year, concerns have been mounting about reports of child abuse such as rape and exploitation during the partial lockdowns. The coordinator of CPA, Lamin Fati, lamented that since the COVID-19 outbreak, children in the Gambia are one of the most affected sections of the society, despite the virus's effects on other groups of the society. The CPA national coordinator explains that coronavirus has led to an upward spiral in the number of rape against children.
We have seen the number of cases when it comes to issues of child abuse in skyrocketed. I mean, on a daily basis, we have seen, well, we can look at it in few dimensions. We talked about the issue of sexual abuse of children. From March 2020 towards December end, we have seen a high increase in the number of rape, particularly on children. There was a time you hardly a week would go by without having an information that somebody has been arrested for raping children.
Fati also explains that the pandemic had disproportionate effects on children as it exposed many of them to various forms of abuse, such as domestic violence and various forms of exploitation during the school's closure.
There has been also the element of having this domestic violence on the increase. So take it that, well, when spouses have their issues, maybe fighting in the homes as a way of what we call it domestic violence, what happens to the child? In the presence of the child, a father and a mother having confrontation, it depresses this child. Mentally, it affects the child. So basically, you can look at all these things and feel like, well, there has been that environment that has been created where children has been exposed to all form of devices, what would say, and that's why you cannot have a unique definition of the forms of abuses they have gone, but I know there has been an increase in the issues of rape. There has been an increase in the issues of children being on the street begging or selling, and there has been instances where we feel like, children will leave their homes and we have seen the element of disappearance in this country. So I think because of all these things, the COVID has not really been fair or given a fair treatment when it comes to issues of dealing with children.
He pointed that the country has progressive child protection laws, but that there is no robust enforcement regime. This, he went on, needs to be looked into.
So for me, we have sufficient laws in this country, but because the response to when there is a violation against these laws is not forthcoming, people do as they wish. You might count the number of rape cases we receive, but you cannot be proud enough to say out of 10 we have prosecuted 9. So which means that it would never commensurate to what we have. You receive 10, but you can only talk about prosecuting 1 case. So which means still now our laws, there are lapses around the issues of enforcement of laws, whether it's in terms of rape cases, whether it's in terms of what children been on the street begging or selling. The whole legal framework is not being enforced around issues of child protection.
To Fati, the Gambia government is not investing enough in the promotion of children's welfare. This, he continued, is one of the variables contributing to the surge in child abuse in the Gambia. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.
Well, those were the local stories. We'll be back with international news. After the short break, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jaja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulanding. We are also producers of Jaja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gosh, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gosh Group also provides the best security company, Gosh Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gosh Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gosh on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gosh Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.goshglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tarots, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Sophie Milk ñu ngi fété juróom benn ati cafka bu dul dañ ñoo leen indil Jalika full cream milk powder neex saf sàpp te bari cafka pour di leen jërëjëfati si ni ngeen defee Sophie Milk seen favorite milk brand léegi mun ngeen a jëfandikoo empty Jalika milk sachets wala carton pour gagner ay xéewal yu riche pour gagner motorbike dajaleel fukk ak juróomi empty carton yi Jalika milk pour gagner yeneen xéewal yu mel ni PlayStation 4 TV fridge freezer, gas cooker, bicycle wala mobile phone. dajaleel fukk ak juróomi empty Jalika milk sachets def leen si biir enveloppe binda si sa tur ak sa téléphone number. mun ngeen koo yóbbu si bépp Jalika milk agent bu leen gën a jege. pour xam bi si raful yi dem leen Jalika milk Facebook page. Jalika milk mooy meew bu ees bu leen so fi indil gën a neex saf sàpp te riche.
Welcome back. We now look at the news beyond our borders. Chad's military rulers have appointed 2 vocal members of the opposition to the new transitional government. There is now a promise of a national dialogue, but as Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris reports from the capital N'Djamena, the country is far from stable.
The crack in Chad's united opposition is widening. There are no more anti-government demonstrations on the streets, and anti-military rhetoric has been toned down. An opposition candidate in the last presidential election has been appointed as transitional prime minister and is currently selling the idea of dialogue and unity to others who oppose the military takeover.
We need to come together for the nation's interest. Everyone has a role to play for the peace of the country. We need to do that to restore democracy, where from now on, power will come from the ballot box.
It's a call that's resonated with some opposition leaders.
We almost agree with the process. What is more important to Chadians is national reconciliation. At the moment, I can say we are united and agreed on a peaceful transition and the organization of a national dialogue conference.
2 key opposition leaders are now in the cabinet that's also made up of the late President Idris Deby's ministers and loyalists, a move described by analysts as significant. The parliament, which was suspended along with the constitution, is back in business, an indication that the military rulers are desperate to win as many civilian hearths as they can. Despite the progress made politically, the situation in Chad remains volatile. In the north of the country, rebels remain a significant threat, so too the armed group Boko Haram. The military leadership here hopes that the appointment of a respected former foreign minister to head national dialogue will persuade some rebels to join in. The African Union has strongly condemned the military's crackdown on protesters that resulted in a number of deaths. It's now urging caution as events unfold.
We shouldn't rush. We are gathering data that will allow the Council to take the best decision. We have to weigh the pros and cons. To decide on whether to ban or suspend Chad is easy, but will that help or harm the country that is facing the most difficult period?
Chad's allies, including former colonial power France, fear that if the country descends into chaos, the entire Lake Chad and Sahel regions will see a rise in attacks by armed groups. That, they say, is why they supported the military takeover. For now, the country's military leaders may have bought themselves some time But analysts say how they utilize that time and organize proper elections within 18 months will be critical. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Jamina.
Brazil's mass inoculation campaign got off to a late and rocky start in mid-January. So far, only 15% of the population has received the first dose, according to media consortium, but 6% of those lucky ones never showed up for the second shot. Al Jazeera's Monica Yannikiv reports from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Brazilians had to wait much longer than expected to get their vaccines. The mass inoculation campaign in Latin America's largest country got off to a late and rocky start in mid-January. So far, only 15% of the population has received the first dose, according to a media consortium. But 6% of those lucky ones never showed up for the second shot.
I almost didn't. I had to take an anxiety pill to make it here for my second shot of AstraZeneca. I was so scared, as were many standing in line with me. We were hearing all these stories about blood clots, and now I'm glad I came.
Doctors say that some people have not gone back because they forgot or simply thought that one shot was enough.
Lack of information and fake news spread by those who deny the pandemic are part of the problem. But we are also facing problems with the second dose because of poor government planning.
16 states have run out of China's CoronaVac vaccine, one of the two most used in Brazil. Many showed up for their second dose, only to be told there were none.
They told me to return another day, but will there be any?
It's an embarrassment. This is a joke for those bloody politicians.
Doctors and scientists blame former Health Minister Eduardo Pazuello for the problem.
The health ministry instructed mayors and governors to use all their supplies to speed up the delivery of first dose, instead of telling them to save half of the stock to guarantee the second dose. The government was hoping more vaccines would arrive in time. That did not happen.
There have been delays in the delivery of vaccines and of supplies to produce them locally. India, one of Brazil's main suppliers, is at the center of the epidemic now and dealing with a health catastrophe. But Brazil has just received the first batch of 1 million Pfizer vaccine doses.
The lack of planning will be discussed this week by the Senate committee investigating the government's handling of the pandemic. Former Health Minister Pazuello will be called to testify on Wednesday.
He will be asked to explain why Brazil took so long to accept Pfizer's offer to begin providing millions of doses last year, doses that only just started to arrive. Monica Yanakiev, Al Jazeera, Rio de Janeiro.
Israel and Lebanon have resumed U.S.-mediated talks aimed at ending a decades-long maritime border dispute in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. The indirect talks were called off weeks after they began in October. The talks between countries, still technically at war, kicked off at the UN base in the town of Nagura in southern Lebanon. The national news agency reported on Tuesday a deal will encourage international companies to invest, which will help Lebanon's crippling debt. But the decision to engage in talks appear motivated by political considerations and maneuvering, not just economics. Al Jazeera's Zaina Kudri reports from Beirut, Lebanon.
Significant gas fields have been discovered in the Mediterranean Sea. Lebanon's prospects are in waters disputed with Israel. Away from the media, the longtime enemies are back negotiating at a United Nations base along the border. Indirect U.S.-mediated talks were called off weeks after they began in October.
It doesn't start from Ras al Naura.
Lebanon was accused of pushing for 1,430 square kilometers on top of the already disputed 860 square kilometers registered with the UN, a position that brought an Israeli gas field into disputed territory.
Karish is an Israeli field that is going to start production by 2022. So the idea was like, we claim the maximum we can get through line 29. We put Karish in danger, and that will bring the Israelis to negotiate a deal that is good for Lebanon. Line 23 is...
But Lori Haitayan, like others, believe Lebanese authorities didn't formalize the new claim because the dispute is a card in negotiations with the United States. When Lebanon agreed to talks for the first time in 3 decades, the Trump administration was imposing and threatening sanctions on politicians with ties with the Iranian-backed Hezbollah. Those politicians are now hoping for better relations with the Biden administration, or at the least, the de-escalation of tensions. The resumption of talks was announced days after David Hale's visit to Lebanon in April. The Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs was the first official in the new administration to come here. On the eve of the visit, Lebanon's President Michel Aoun, an ally of Hezbollah, put off signing a decree expanding the maritime claims because he said it would end negotiations, but few expect an early breakthrough.
I don't see any of those two ready to compromise. I don't see the Lebanese politics basically is conducive now to such important compromise when you have local tensions and no government. So I don't see this is conducive for this. And third, the US-Iran tension and the Israeli-Iran tension also will not help. I don't see Iran giving, through Hezbollah and Lebanon, a free gift.
A deal would encourage international companies to invest, which would help Lebanon's crippling debt. But the decision to engage in talks appears motivated by political considerations and maneuvering, not just economics. Zena Khuder, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
Well, before we end the news, a quick recap of our main headlines. Government withdraws charges against Operation 3 Years Jotna executives. GPU says more than 15 attacks launched against journalists in 4 years. Calls for friendlier media environment as world commemorates Press Freedom Day. General Lamin Bojang bounces back. GPA laments COVID-induced upward spiral in child abuse. On the international news, Chad AU still odds caution as military appoints opposition MPs. Brazilians are not showing up for their second COVID vaccination. Lebanon and Israel talks resumed over disputed maritime border. That's all for this edition of the news. Do enjoy the rest of our wonderful programs. Join us tomorrow for more news. Thanks for watching. Do have a wonderful night. Bye for now.